Hey guys, Peter here to do an EP review. Today I'm here to tell you all about the latest from Candlemass, the Pendulum, out March 27th on Napalm Records. The EP has 6 tracks, 20 minutes in length, and this is the 6th EP that they have released. To me, this really feels like an extension to the album The Door to Doom that came out in 2019, Grammy nominated. It feels like a sequel. The sound, the approach, the structure, vocals, everything, the dynamics of the tracks, how everything is put together, it just really feels like an extension of what had started with a full-length record, and this is just a continuation of it. You start to see some changes, some very slight changes here and there, perhaps indicating what the future approaches or what the future would be like for the next record. But a lot of the main, I would say 99% of the main DNA of this release is really part of The Door to Doom. It really feels like it's just the next logical step. It's the sequence. And by the way, if these songs were included on that release, I wouldn't be surprised in one bit, because they would fit perfectly in like a glove. They would be just perfectly integrated with a tracking list, and you would not even be able to tell the difference. They just feel like almost these tracks didn't make the cut for whatever reason, and they had them, so they decided to release them in an EP. That's the impression that I got listening to it, because the similarities between the full length and the EP are undeniable across all spectrums. Like I said, sound, song structure, dynamics, fluidity, guitars, vocals, you name it. Any element that you put forward, the similarities are absolutely undeniable between those two releases, almost feeling like 1 and plus 1. Now, as far as the tracks are concerned, I'm going to go on track by track to give you guys an idea of how the fluidity of this EP is like. I want to start off with The Pendulum, the first track, also the name of the release, and I really like the intro. It has an intro built into the song, and that's an acoustic guitar intro that works extremely well. Breathtaking, the sound is just mesmerizing. And then once the heaviness comes in, you have the verses with the more heavy thrash metal almost sounding riff, and then you have the energy kind of dipping into the chorus. The chorus is a lot more dark, doom, and melancholic, so the dynamic really shifts between these two portions of the song, and you really feel the clear shift, more musically than vocally, but you feel the clear shift between those two specific parts of the song. The guitar solo that follows the second chorus is absolutely packed with melody, and it's packed with melody, but it still has a lot of the DNA of Candlemass, a lot of melancholy mixed into that melody that creates a really pungent, a really strong, a really breathtaking guitar solo that just really energizes the track. It really brings pieces from those two portions, from the verses, from the more aggressive verses and from the more melancholic chorus. It includes pieces from those two into the solo and allows the song to kind of get a jolt of energy. Then once the solo goes through, you feel like the song goes back into the same routine, into the same parameters, into the same structure, being very concise and having a very good melancholic approach as it comes towards the end, as it dies out. I really like this track as an opening track, and I really like that acoustic guitar intro as the opening to the song. Next, Snakes of Goliath, a song that in my opinion has a much different approach. This to me is Doom personalized. It's really what I would expect from your typical Candlemass song. When I think of Doom, when I think of Candlemass, this song is pretty much what comes to my mind. The guitar riff is very driven. It really penetrates your soul. It has this dark, piercing approach to it that I really like. The vocals allow the song to stay really balanced, really cohesive, and really brings everything together. It kind of caresses all the other elements together. At the midpoint, this song changes completely. The riffs become less darker, more melodic, brighter, almost like somebody opened the windows and the light came into a very dark room. That is the feeling that this song has. It's really a feeling of a pendulum that goes from one opposite to the other. It's dark and it's light, and this song really represents that swinging of the pendulum going from darkness into light. And I really like that dynamic and how the song is broken, but in how the song is structured, but it doesn't feel like a broken track. It feels just like the next step, the logical step in the evolution of the song and in the evolution of the sound that this song provides. I really like it. Next, Sub-Zero. This is almost like a bridge track. It's an acoustic guitar instrumental that has 1 minute and 10 seconds. really beautiful. It does sound nothing like the beginning of Pendulum. I mean, it's acoustic, but as far as the melody is concerned, is not connected whatsoever. By the way, Snakes of a Goliath finishes with an acoustic guitar that I really like. It gives a sense of closing off those two opening tracks, but this one, Sub-Zero, has a much different melody, almost giving you a glimpse into what they can do on an acoustic side with a short instrumental track. Next is Aftershock, another instrumental track, really short, 1 minute and 36 seconds, and this one is a darker, more doom-driven riff that it's so rigid, it's so raw, it's so piercing, and I like the fact that they have these two instrumental tracks back-to-back, Sub-Zero and Aftershock, with two very distinct guitar sounds. One is acoustic, the other one is that doom, electric, doom piercing riff. I like that because you got those elements in the first two songs. You got that at the beginning of Pendulum, and you got that as far as the acoustic is concerned, and at the end of Snakes of Goliath, and obviously you got that doom riff in between those songs. So the elements are there in the previous two tracks, but here they get stripped out of those two tracks and they're just putting on the table like naked for you to see how the acoustic sounds on its own, and how that piercing doom driven riff sounds on its own with these very two short instrumental tracks. So I like that approach. I like the approach that they give you the big picture with the first two tracks, and then with the next two tracks they kind of stripped everything away to give you a little bit of a glimpse of the details of the guitar work. Very different melodies, very different sound. It has nothing to do with the previous tracks, just with the approach. That, to me, the technique, the approach, that's what these tracks really bring to the table. Next, Porcelain Skull, a song that in my opinion really merges the styles of the first two songs on the EP, the Pendulum and Snakes of Goliath. This is a track that just really mixes those two songs together and gives you a picture of what Candlemass is and what this EP has to offer, and what the Door to Doom had to offer. A mixing of dark doom riffs with a melodic approach, both musically and vocally, because the vocals are dark, but they also give you melody. They change the atmosphere of the songs in certain points, in certain critical aspects of the song, in order to give the song a different emphasis, in order to give the lyrics a different emphasis. So this song has that as well, and it has this pendulum that always swinging back and forth, try to keep things level and keep things at a level, steady pace between these two worlds, these two colliding worlds of dark and doom and more melodic doom approach. So this is a song that has incredible dynamics, has an incredible touch to it, incredible approach, and the solo to me just brings such light into the song. A lot of melody. It really adds a huge amount of a melodic touch to the overall sound that the song has, and in my opinion really works well. It doesn't offset the track, it doesn't make the track feel more melodic, because the melody that the solo has is pulled straight out of the melody that the track already had. It almost feels like they incorporated the main melodic riff that the song has into the solo, and they just extended that a little bit. They just blew it up a little bit, made it more obvious. So I really like that approach to the solo, instead of going with something completely different, maybe over the top or darker or whatever. They just used something that was already there and they enhanced it. Great track on Porcelain Skull. Then they close off the EP with a Cold Room, another acoustic track. This one very different. Incredible closing. I really enjoy this. It's short, it's not a long instrumental track, it's just over the 1 minute mark, but acoustic guitar with piano together, breathtaking. What a closing what an outro this is for the EP. If you think about how the EP starts with that intro, that acoustic intro in the song The Pendulum, to finish off with this acoustic piano melody together is absolutely magnificent. I really love that. It just really tied up the whole release together. It just really creates a very concise approach from front to back. You really have a very dynamic and very interesting EP on your hands with The Pendulum by Candlemass. Alright guys, let me know your thoughts. Use the comment section below. I'll be looking at those and getting back to you. Take care guys.